The following edited recording was made in 1954 with Michael Rodney Fearon, who was an officer in the British Army and died on June 24th, 1944, aged 27. The medium was Leslie Flint. Michael Fearon. Man has always looked upon their life as something purely materialistic and couldn't escape materialism. Today, thousands of people who believe in life after death, their conception of it is extraordinarily materialistic. The church still preaches this ridiculous idea of heaven and hell. Heaven if you've been good and hell if you haven't. Man limits God by his limitations. Man assumes spiritual things have a materialistic basis and cannot escape materialism and only understand something physically tangible. Beyond that, they cannot grasp anything. I've no time for the church. Their minds are unbelievably narrowed and cannot get beyond a certain point and only accept that which falls within their own limited knowledge. Whereas knowledge is so vast that even the most highly evolved can only grasp a small percentage of it. The church believes the Bible is all there is to know and has made it mysterious and difficult for the intelligent person to believe. Today, people are more educated and intelligent and think deeply for themselves and cannot accept it. The churches have lost ground over the years and hold on to so much that has no foundation in fact. Church services are repetitive and have been for years with the same old hymns. The manner in which a clergyman gives an address that's toneless, which drives a person out of church. I speak for millions of people that the church has never lifted its finger against war, the First and Second World Wars. Did the church try to stop them? No, they didn't. What did the Pope do during the war? Did he say, I'll excommunicate every Roman Catholic who takes part in war? No, he didn't. If he had, Italy would never have come into the war and wouldn't have dared go against their Pope. The church preaches the Prince of Peace, but doesn't follow his example in times of need. The church thrived on two things, fear and power, and take those things away and they have nothing. Until we rid ourselves of the shackles of the church, there is no spiritual progress. The church has done some good, but it's done untold harm over the centuries, where people have died tragic, untimely deaths at the hands of the church, because people didn't believe in their dogma and have always been against human progress. I'm very hard on the Orthodox Church, and its history speaks for itself. Its history is its own condemnation, and the church record is pretty grim. Christ did the things he did because he understood his inner divinity and his oneness with God. They want to get people back to church and make it powerful again, but people have found truth outside the church and found freedom of thought. People outside the church have been freed from shackles of the church and made spiritual progress, and the church is getting frightened. It wants to drag them back and make it impossible for people to be outside the church. The church has always wanted to strangle people outside. Freedom of thought and expression in many different forms exists much more outside the church than within it. The church wants you to go its narrow way, which, believe me, is a lot of hooey. People found themselves vastly different when they came here and were hampered in their progress because of their narrow beliefs. All the false teachings that the church has given over the centuries has done untold harm to millions of people and separated families and individuals. Spiritualism is free. It can breathe and make progress, and individuals can feel and think freely. But the church, with all its superstition and nonsense, will stifle it again. When I first crossed over, I wasn't creed-bound, like so many were. I could think clearly and make progress because of my freedom and thought. I could contact many souls who had made spiritual advancement, and they were able to help me in many ways. When you needed help, it wasn't the church that helped you. We come to break down the barriers that man has created by racial intolerance, hatred, and dogma. We come down that we might bring people together under one God. We have purpose and mission. We're not interested in churches and dogmas or the things that hold man to earth. We're interested in the things that make them happy in spirit and body. We come to make your world a better place to live in for people that follow after you, that they be born free in their minds to live, love, and understand the things of God. We're not interested in the church, we're interested only in individuals. To break down the barriers that man has created, but only when man's mind is freed from the shackles that bind him to the earth. Religious dogma is the most difficult thing to rid them of, and to break down the stronghold of the church. The church's foundation is still strong, though it's toppling. There's no strength in the church because there has never been true spirituality in it. Once man begins to seek within himself for greater things, we can help him greatly. There's much we have to do because we love humanity and want to prevent humanity from making the mistake it has made in the past. We want truth to shine forth and make men free. Man, immediately after death, is no different to what he was 5 minutes before in regard to his outlook and personality. People who have strong religious convictions still hold them strongly when they come here, until they realise that they're like a fish out of water and realise that a lot of their old ideas don't apply. They're not natural here and realise that everything here is normal and natural. People are very much the same as they were on earth, but without the heaviness of material life and old ideas which kept them back in their spiritual progress. They begin to realise that many of their old ideas are man's conception of heaven and God. Life here is a normal and natural thing with great beauty. That many phases of life exist and that people must adjust themselves to their condition in which they find themselves. Friends, relations and loved ones will greet and talk to them and make them realise that they have to rid themselves of much that they thought was true when on earth, and make them mentally free to be able to adjust themselves to the new form of existence. Many people have a hazy idea of what life is like on this side, and those who have very orthodox views really do believe they are elected for a phase of life which is far superior to any other, which of course is not so. Man is complex, and there's no person who is so good or so bad. Because you believe in certain tenets doesn't make you a better person. What makes a person better is their thoughts and actions and the things that have helped to make them an individual. Because you believe in a certain something doesn't save you, doesn't make you a supreme being, doesn't make you worthy to become one of God's elect. Every man must find his own path and progress and go through many states of existence and takes generations of time. Earth life is merely a short phase in one's existence, and it's important that one learns all that one can. The reason that one comes to Earth is not for what you can take out of it, but what you can put into it. Your spirit is to guide and give you strength and give you the path. Man is taught when on earth to develop his material powers, his brain, how to earn a living in different ways, and taught many things, but it is never taught the things of the spirit. He may go to Sunday school and then graduate into a church, but what does it teach him? It teaches him the narrowest of conceptions of the spirit. It doesn't give him spiritual freedom or a path that will enlighten him, unless religion is completely free from within itself. Where can one grow and not be shackled down by dogma? Man has free will, where he can do the things which are within his conscience. Every man has a conscience that can be one's guide. Consciences differ according to the individual. What is evil to one man may not be evil to another. There is a path that all can tread, within which one can do so much that will not only help oneself to progress spiritually and mentally, but to help those around you. There is no greatness in power or tradition. Power comes from humility, sympathy, love, and sharing. The things which help man to grow are the things which are purely of the Spirit. Everyone has within themselves the Spirit of God. The church does not encourage them to develop the powers of the Spirit and discourages them. If you went to church and declared that you had seen this or experienced that, the first thing they'd think was that you were a little bit peculiar. Clothes you know so little. Their task is to heal the sick and comfort those who mourn, with knowledge and not platitudes. The church has been blind for untold centuries. It doesn't express the things of God. They have a little truth that they've swamped us with. Life is on both sides what you yourself have made it, and man is no more than what he has become through his own experience. The church could be a leader in these things, but it isn't. I'm prejudiced because I have seen the results of 2 wars. I've met many here who passed over through the First War and friends in the Second War. The church could have done so much, but did nothing because it is only concerned with material power and aggrandizement. The archbishops are only concerned with their own personal affairs. I have no faith in the church. It's failed generations and it'll go on failing them until it disappears. By then, truth will have made tremendous progress and minds free of dogmas. I hope there's an instrument in years to come which will make communication possible between our world and yours and break down the power of the church. Millions of souls here have suffered through war which could have been prevented if the church had made some attempt to play its part. I do not trust the church because it has always failed humanity in its hour of need.